Welcome. It's March 21st, 2023. I'm Joe Weston, and we're here for our online practice for reviving the global heart. And as always, it's such a pleasure and an honor to see familiar faces, to see new faces as we gather from around the world.
Morning in progress.
To be in community with one another, to share stories with one another, to practice with one another, and to be in alignment with people who share a common desire or interest or mission to be nurturers and protectors on this planet in a time when so much is crumbling away of the old system and so much is being born. As I always say, midwives on some level, midwives for the dying and midwives for what's being born. And I bring that up particularly since we're just still wrapping up being in the spring or autumn equinox, depending on where you are on the planet. And so much of this work that we do, which is about cultivating within ourselves fear, compassion, and resilience, and understanding the how polarized ways of seeing the world is keeping us stagnant and in patterns, and that we're trying to find ways to break out of that. I always say, for both Michelle and me, who I'll be introducing, that we're both in a sense launching our books at during the equinox, which is, you could say, the 2 days of the year when there's just as much daytime as there is nighttime. So there's an equal balance of light and dark. And what a fitting symbol to hold of this idea that that in a sense, life is a constant dance between light and shadow. And that in essence, we couldn't experience each other in a three-dimensional realm if we couldn't have both light and shadow, and that one supports each other, and there's always a lovely dance. And I'm pleased to share the dance that I have been in with a dear friend and amazing being on this planet, Michelle Otero, who is going to be our guest today to talk about not only what her vision is and sharing her heart and her wisdom, which is quite an experience, but also to talk about her new book, which just launched on Sunday. I'll say I had the greatest honor to meet Michelle. We met actually in Denver, Colorado, at a retreat where we had a chance to observe a training, and we got into lovely dialogue, ate delicious food, and laughed. And we've been finding ways to be in relationship with each other since. Michelle has been working with the Weston Network and doing the work that with me, and that's just a small part of what she's done. She's an author of her new book, Vessels, a Memoir of Borders. She's also the author of Bosque poems. I'll do Bosque.
Great, I'll hold this one.
She was for 2 years Albuquerque's Poet Laureate, and she has her own company, ArteSana, where she uses storytelling and healing and writing and creativity to help people journey back to their best selves and find a way to be in the world. And the work she's doing around justice and healing is remarkable. And I always say, I say it so often that I hope it doesn't wear out, but because it's just true, that my experience of Michelle is that the way she speaks, the way she moves through the world is poetry. That Michelle is the embodiment of poetry. And that it's an honor and to be in her life, and that she's on this planet. So, Michelle, welcome.
Thank you, Joe. It's a beautiful introduction. It's a gift to be here with you this morning. Thank you.
So I just wanted to give you the space to share who you are, what's on your heart these days. Certainly tell us about your book, and we will certainly be sharing the link about how everyone here can purchase 22 copies.
Perfect. Yeah, so I'm Michelle Otero. I grew up along the US-Mexico border in southern New Mexico, from people who have been on this land for a really long time. So I identify as Chicana, Mexican-American, and what's on my heart, especially these days, really is this book, it's Vessels. I've been working on it for, I raised this manuscript to adulthood. I've been working on this book for 18 years. So if you have a project that is creative and has been sitting with you and you're not sure if you should continue to invest in it, I'm living proof. Yes, you should. And there's a vein of gold there, and sometimes things in the universe need to shift a little bit so that to create that opening so that you can complete that project. So as Joe mentioned, the book launched on Sunday at the Albuquerque Museum. We had a really lovely gathering with almost 200 people. And funny story, the books had not yet arrived. So they were in a box somewhere, just not at the museum. But it was almost beside the point because the love and the community and the feel in that space of celebrating this story, but I think also this place and the people who are in this book. So it's, I draw on my own ancestry, on my family stories. My grandparents, especially my maternal grandparents, are in this book. But I also go back and draw on ancestry that is maybe not in my DNA, but definitely in my cultural history. So I call on Aztec or Mexica deities, and also this figure of La Malinche, who's was an indigenous woman in what is now Mexico, and ended up being the interpreter for the Spaniards when they arrived in the 1500s. So I kind of trace my own story back to La Malinche, back to these Mexica deities, and then I'm really like writing a lot about healing across generations, both back into my ancestry and then for the generations to come. Yeah, so that's all, Joe. That's all that's on my heart.
There you go. I'm not sure if you, I mean, if there's a point where you want to read some from the book, from your poetry, it would be great. And if you want to talk about your process, but just in terms of, I mean, this is so important to you. Your lineage is important to you. Your connection to the land is important to you. And I love this new introduction of the importance of the deities and as a part of the lineage. In a very 21st century skeptical world where there's so much cynicism and there's so much oppression and hatred and polarization, what is the role of today for you in terms of your mission, in terms of this idea of reviving the global heart of lineage, of the land, and more particularly the deities? I mean, how does that play into your storytelling moving forward?
Yeah, so I'll read a little bit in a moment of I think part of the reason I love these particular deities so much is that they're fierce. I have a poem in Bosque that is like everything I need to know I learned from Aztec goddesses or from Mexica goddesses. And they just have such compelling stories. So I think even if you are not drawn to spirituality, just the story, there's a goddess who wears a skirt made of serpents and a necklace made of human hearts and hands. And she was so terrifying that when she was discovered, when they carved, they were building a sewer or something in Mexico City, they brought up this figure of her in stone. She was so terrifying that they reburied her. It wasn't until like decades later that they unburied her and put her in a museum. So I think just that the stories are so compelling, but also there's I think in times of polarization, we're really looking for connection. And even if we don't know that that's what we're looking for, even if our default setting is to withdraw and to be isolated, I think if the pandemic has taught us anything, and hopefully it's taught us a few things, it's that we need each other, that it's not good for us to be isolated. And so my writing is really an invitation back to connection, whether it's with our own stories or land or lineage or our ancestors or other human beings. I really tried to write. I try to write toward that. I also think that's why it took me so long, because it took me a long time to remember that. that some of what's in this book is my own struggle with depression and with healing from trauma. And I have a section in the book that says, like, I tried to write this book from the broken place. And it wasn't really until I gave the manuscript to someone and she was like, write your happy ending. And I thought, oh, that's cheesy. I don't want to write a happy ending. And she said, no, things worked out. You're okay. You didn't just survive, like, you're doing well, you're thriving, you experience joy in your life, and your reader has been with this character through all of these passages and literally burrowing under into the earth. Give your reader the gift of knowing that you came out on the other side. And that was really the key. So after so many years, it was like, oh, it's 3 more pages. I should have hired her sooner as my coach.
Beautiful. Yeah. At a certain point, I do want to lead us through the practice that we do, but I want to. Would you rather share something now from the?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read a little bit.
Yeah.
Great. So another one of the deities I really like is the moon goddess Coyolxauhqui. I'll drop her name into the chat. It's got it's, the spelling is so great. It's got like X's and Q's and but Coyolxauhqui is the moon goddess, and I have an epigraph that appears, 2 actually that appear at the front of the book. So one is from a really beautiful deck called the Jade Oracle, which is based on Mexica deities, and it's a combination of kind of meditations on each of the deities, but also really gorgeously rendered art. So what they say about Coyolxauhqui is that she appears in your life when you feel broken into pieces. And then my other epigraph is from Gloria Ansaldúa, who's a scholar, Chicana poet, scholar, writer. And she wrote a lot about the Coyolxauhqui imperative, that especially for Chicana, for Mestiza, for Mexican-American women, our imperative is to heal and achieve integration. The Coyolxauhqui imperative is an ongoing process of making and unmaking. So this book is written to the 7 directions. It goes to the cardinal points, east, west, north, and south, which is ceremony, then to the sky, the earth, and it ends in the ombligo, or the belly button, which is the true heart, really like our center. And this is the prologue, and it's called Variations on the Death of Coyolxauhqui. She has a bit of a violent origin story. So her brother Huitzilopochtli was the god of war. He, in one of the tellings, he cuts off her head and casts her head into the night sky, and then dismembers her. So there's a stone that was always at the base of Huitzilopochtli's temple, which showed Coyolxauhqui and the different parts of her. So when I embrace that, I think about like how we're broken as human beings, and our job in this life is to put ourselves back together. Okay, so Coyolxauhqui, how does suffering yield such light? He was born fully armed. She was the only daughter. She appears in a circular stone, her limbs jagged, bones exposed, scallop shapes at the neck and limb indicate she was dismembered. How does a woman fit in a stone? How does a woman fit in a circle? What is my frame? How do I twist, turn, bend, break my body to fit? Coyoli, small metal bells, warrior. Coyolxauhqui, string of bells around her calves, warrior. She's carved in 9-ton stone, 1 foot thick. Coyolxauhqui, broken woman. Sometimes babies break us. Sometimes it's men we love. Sometimes it's both. The gods of our ancestors don't mess around. Guatlique, claw-feet mother, wore a skirt of intertwined serpents and a necklace of human hands and hearts. Daughter Coyolxauhqui's severed head became the moon. Huitzilopochtli was born fully formed, fully armed, a ray of lightning in his hands. My grandma smoked Kent 3100s and picked our pimples with blunt fingernails. In Mexico, Jesus weeps. We are all Coyolxauhqui, we who defend our home, we who say the hard thing, we who warn, we who won't be taken, we who disagree, who see, who speak truth. How do we put ourselves back together?
I'm sorry, I have no words, so you're just gonna have to keep going.
Okay. I'm going to skip to the end. So you're getting the very beginning and the end. And if you want to go to the directions, you gotta just get the book. So, and I'm not giving anything away by saying that, the end of the book is really coming full circle, the Koyoshalki imperative in which Malinche's daughter gets her happy ending. Vessel, a craft for traveling on water, a person regarded as a holder or receiver of something, especially something non-material, a vessel of wrath, a vessel of grace. It's taken me a long time to write this book. I tried to write from the broken place. I didn't know what to do with this girl, tried to fuse her together with strands of hair, spit, and masa. I tossed her down the temple steps again and again, cast her head into the night sky. That head believed every bad thing, every unhappy ending, every story that ended with, you don't deserve, you're not good enough, you never will, you can't. The earth held her broken pieces. The night showed her she was light. Here's what was missing. I thought I had to be perfect. I thought I'd have to settle, and I have. I am settled. We live in an adobe house. I plant sunflowers, zinnias, and scarlet runner beans in the front yard bed. We have a cat, 3 dogs, goldfish in a pond my husband dug from the caliche in our courtyard. We had a lizard, a chicken that showed up in our yard. It's not the eagle and serpent the Mexica were promised, but it's the stuff of this home, my home, our home. Membrane. I end the book with a poem. Membrane. We buried your son's placenta next to the peach tree he grew from pit. The peach, a gift from your father, who made orchard of the sweetest fruit in the yard that raised you. Chabacano, capulín, durazno de hueso pegado. Him, a soft boy surrounded by stones. We planted cottonwood to mark your son's roots. His sister called it the gut tree. Her own afterbirth feeds a locust in the mountain house you shared with their mother. We patted caliche sand with bare hands, filled the cottonwood well with rain, chicken wired the trunk to keep the neighbor's billy goat from stripping bark. As a boy, my own father butchered rabbit, painted the tree base in its blood. I left my print in your son's gut tree loam to tell him we belong. We belong. My offering to you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm sure you're all going to buy 22 copies of the book now. Thank you. I want to lead us in our practice. I want to ask a question first, and then afterwards, I would love to hear reflections. Or why don't we do that? Would anybody like to just share what your reflections are of what you've heard so far? And we're gonna, Vanessa, can you put into the chat the links for what's on your heart when you heard that? Or should we do our practice first, and then we'll let's do our practice first then and give you but I do have a question for you, Michelle. It's like one of those like TV talk show kind of questions. I could make it more personal, but I want my first well, having a knowledge of different goddesses or gods or deities, what do you think the planet needs most right now? What kind of god or goddess or deity?
I think one who challenges us to be our best selves and who reminds us that I keep saying, I don't know how many times I've told my stepkids over the last few years, like, this is crazy. Like, these are unprecedented times. Nothing like this has ever happened before. And then I remember, I look at this picture of my grandparents, which I always have close to me and I take with me everywhere. that I'm not going through anything that they haven't experienced in their lives, that nothing I am living through is harder than what they have overcome. And thanks to them, I'm equipped to be able to face it. So I think the deities, the gods and goddesses who remind us that no matter our lineage, we come from strong, courageous people with heart who figured out a way.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I'll take a breath. So I'm gonna lead us in our practice and incorporate some of this, and then afterwards it would be great to be able to reflect. And Vanessa's putting the links for how you can purchase the book. So in this practice, what we do every week with variations is we're cultivating that very thing, resilience and fierce compassion of being able to cultivate a resilient heart where we can move through the world, take care of ourselves, honor our lineage, honor all human beings, and in a sense be nurturers and protectors for that very purpose, to challenge ourselves and each and every person we encounter to be their best selves. So in this practice, I talk about the core, connecting with your core and your lower belly. So, and that's approximately the width of 3 fingers below your navel and 1/3 of the way into the body. So if you want to investigate that, if you put your fingers together and you place your index finger over your navel, where your pinky resides, that's approximately the width of 3 fingers below your navel. So in this practice, we're cultivating the way I would define resilience, which is presence, awareness, balance, and flow, to move through the world in that way. So sitting in a way where your body is in alignment, where your spine is straight without being rigid, to allow the most flow through your body. If it feels safe for you, close your eyes. And if not, then look down towards the ground with your eyes slightly open. Bring your attention now to that spot in your lower belly, your core, your center of gravity, gut wisdom, impulse, personal power, and awareness. Learning to move through the world from a deeper level of awareness, experiencing your world from your center now, becoming aware of the parts of your body that are connecting with what you're sitting on and the ground, your contact points, and feeling those specific points making contact with what you're sitting on the ground, feeling the stability under you. As you feel the stability, allowing yourself, your nervous system to spread the signals through your whole body that you have stability under you and you can be held. So let yourself be held. Feeling the points under you as representation of the earth itself, connecting with Mother Earth, an honoring of the land that you are now inhabiting and sitting on, an honoring of all of the peoples who have stewarded and honored and taken care of, an honoring to them and their tribes, an honoring to Mother Earth herself, recognizing that she holds each one of us equally. She does not discriminate. Let yourself be held. And using this practice to come more into the present moment, beginning with self, from your center, become aware of your physical body. What are you aware of in this moment? Without judgment, simply observing, listening to the wisdom of the body. From your center, become aware of your emotional body. What emotions are you present to? An honoring of all the sensations you're feeling, all the emotions you're feeling. All feelings are welcome in this practice, without judgment. From your center, become aware of your thoughts, your mental body. Not necessarily what you're thinking, but the quality of your thoughts. Are they tight and judgmental? Are they spacious and generous? Observe. Maintaining a connection with your core, your place of personal power, and now bringing awareness to the middle of your chest where your heart power resides. Compassion, connection, our highest values. And with the connection with your center and with your heart, becoming aware of that part of you which has connection to and access to something larger than yourself. And from your center and from your heart, as you connect with that part of you which has something that has connection to something larger than yourself, what is your connection in this moment? Is that something that is ever broken? How much or what is the quality of your connection right now to something larger than yourself? Could be spirit, your lineage, humanity. And as you feel Mother Earth flow up from beneath you, up to your heart, as you feel that which is larger than yourself flowing from above, right into your heart, expanding out that awareness of self to your personal boundaries, filling your personal space with this presence and awareness in all directions. With this awareness of self in this present moment, take a full breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. See if you can maintain this connection with your sense of self, your connection with the earth, with that which is larger than yourself. Now, from your center and from your heart, become aware of your surroundings, the space you're in, keeping your eyes closed, opening your senses in all directions to a deeper level of presence, placing yourself in a context. All the trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of seconds that have passed and that will come. Tapping into this moment and this place. And with that awareness of yourself and your surroundings, take a deep breath. And with this awareness of self and surroundings from your center and from your heart, become aware of those in this meditation circle. Those in various parts of North America, Central America, Europe, perhaps other parts of the world. And your capacity in this moment to expand your awareness, your heart, and your personal power to connect with those who align with your sense of values, deeper level of connection. And honoring of each and every one of them in their process of going from breaking to unbreaking, back to themselves, triumphs, challenges. And with the deepest honor and reverence for those in this meditation circle, take a deep breath. And with this connection to yourself, your surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, from your center and from your heart, become aware of all human beings, first beginning with those human beings you would label loved ones. And who arises in your heart in this moment? What faces do you see or groups of people as you stand face to face with those that you would label loved ones? Bringing your lineage with you, all that brings you into deeper connection. Breaking down the barriers of separation to come into deeper connection. and a sense of a commitment to challenging one another to be your best selves. Noticing the impact you have on others, on loved ones, how they have on you. And from your center and from your heart, become aware of those human beings you would label stranger. And who arises in your heart? What faces do you see? Groups of people. How many strangers in this moment can you hold in your heart? Standing face to face with honor and respect. The mutual commitment to challenge one another to be our best selves. Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. And from your center and from your heart, become aware of those human beings you would label adversary. And who arises in your heart? What faces do you see? Groups of people. How many show up in this moment? Does that impact your level of open-heartedness, presence? Mustering the courage and the conviction as you stand face to face to challenge this idea of mutual challenging each other to be your best selves. Imagining now all human beings with this commitment to walk the planet with a connection to Mother Earth, connection to that which is larger than themselves, and a commitment to nurture and protect one another and all creatures to be their best selves, and to live out their own unique, empowered, happy ending. And see it in your mind's eye. Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. And with this awareness now, taking a deep, full breath to anchor this within your whole system. As Mother Earth smiles with her own story of happy ending, allow all human beings to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to those in this meditation circle. Taking a moment to connect. Allow those in this meditation circle to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to your surroundings. Anchoring yourself in this present moment with this awareness. With gratitude for your surroundings, allow that to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to yourself. And as you connect with yourself with the deepest amount of love, wishing yourself, may you write your most ideal happy ending. And receive that. And noticing the efforts of this practice, the benefits that have been flowing through you, allow the energy that you've generated to flow into every cell of your body, activating and igniting every cell, flowing into your organs, and not forgetting your brain as an organ, flowing into your organs as a way to nurture and replenish and to heal. Allow this energy that you've generated to flow into your core and your lower belly as if it's a battery, and that you just make sure that you fully charge up that battery to be able to move through the day with resilience and resource. And let it seep into your nervous system as a way to remember this so that you can walk this practice into the world. And as a way to close this practice, let's take one final deep breath in and out. not final like for the rest of your life, just final for this practice. And shake your body, stretch your body, open your eyes. So we had a chance to set our motivation. Michelle shared some of her brilliance with us. We had a chance to do our practice. Now we have a few minutes to reflect before we close. Does anybody want to unmute and either share your reflections from your heart of what Michelle has shared, or anything that came up for you in the practice?
Gracias, Michelle. So it was so rich that what I'm going to say is not going to represent the richness of it. But one word that stayed with me was belonging. And it's a large word. You know what I mean. And so I wonder if you wish to elaborate more, to say something else about belonging.
Thank you, Ophelia. That's I think a lot about that word, and it shows up in many places in my life. So both like in my writing, but also in the racial equity and healing work that I do. And John Powell and the Othering and Belonging Institute, if you think of the opposite of othering, it's belonging. And there's we can engage in behaviors that form bridges that support us in creating a sense of belonging, or in behaviors that break and foster a sense of othering. So when things are really hard, I kind of think about, like, if there's a decision point, what's the thing that I can do that's going to create a better sense of belonging? And with the writing, because it's so personal, that's the way that I belong to myself and my family. So if I'm cultivating my own sense of belonging by writing my story and doing it with love and truth and in a spirit of belonging to my family and to others, then it's easier for me to extend that to other people. When my well is dry and when I don't belong to myself, it's really challenging for me to extend it to others. I get very grouchy, and I wonder why everyone around me has suddenly become a jerk. And then I'm like, oh, it's me. let me belong to myself, and then I can extend that to other people. So
thank you.
Gracias a ti.
Your writing is such a beautiful weaving, like the way that you connect yourself to your lineage, to the deities, to the space, to the place, so there's this kind of recognition and pointing out of how indeed we are all connected, that puts me in a place of embodied knowing of that. So thank you. And I know that it has taken you so many years to do this. And my desire is that you record it as an audiobook, because you're like the way that you speak and the way that you pronounce it takes the entire thing and weaves it further. So thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. So Shelley heard a piece of this, the epilogue. Shelley heard the happy ending when we were all together, a group of us getting certified in respectful confrontation in West Virginia, gosh, in March, like a year ago. Oh my God. And I really took to heart what you shared with me then, Shelley, where you talked about just like slowing down and letting the words really move through me. That has just stayed with me. So thank you for both asking for what you needed in that moment and for that reflection, because I feel like, and you're the second person to tell me I need to do an audiobook. So I think, all right, I think there's something there. Thank you.
Michelle, I just wanted to say thank you for the way you really embodied the power and grace of being broken, and the way that you presenced your grandparents and your ancestors, and the amount of emotion and power that was in your voice. I felt really connected to them through hearing you. And I'm wondering, what practices have you done or currently do to keep that connection to your ancestors and to your people that inspire you?
Thank you for that. My maternal grandmother was such a force, and I feel like, Misha and Mariana, who are both on this Zoom, have my grandmother had just died when I met them. So when I first went to Oaxaca and I got in, co-created the circle of women writers, my grandma was like pressed right up against me, and I feel like she still is. That was in 2004. And it's funny because I'll go for, if I'm ever around, I get an intuitive session, or I'm like, getting a limpia from a curandera or a massage or something. If it's somebody who's intuitive, they're like, there's this presence. I'm like, yeah, it's my grandma. She's always like, maybe not pressed quite up as close as she was back in 2004, but like always there. It's like, in fact, sometimes I have to shut her off. So I had to put this picture outside my bedroom. Another friend of mine was like, Mujer, get your ancestors out of your bedroom. They're going to keep you up all night. So writing really keeps me in touch with them. This book has kept me in touch with them. And then some of my other practices are, I practice a form of meditation called Sudarshan Kriya. And that really, if I can just do that in the morning and either go for a walk or go to yoga, that really, really grounds me. And then, so the writing, walking the land. My parents still live in the house where I grew up. It's a nicer house than the one I grew up in. But and that was in the same town where both sets of grandparents were. So also just anytime I'm back home, that really, again, it just really, really grounds me. So that keeps me connected to them. Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Michelle, do you mind sharing your grandma's name?
Yeah, so my grandma's, in Spanish, Genoveva, so Genevieve, but everybody called her China because she had curly hair. So, and that is Spanish for curly haired. And then my grandpa was Florentino or Tino. Yeah, really beautiful humans.
All right, well, the link is in the chat for how you can purchase Michelle's book. You can also find her on Facebook. She has an author page, Michelle Otero, Otero. Golden says, really lovely. Thank you for sharing. You got to get to work now. Yeah, we got to do that. Yeah, good to see you. Good to have you here at Golden.
Hey, I also shared 100% on the audiobook, and now I'm the third person to tell you.
There you go. I think you got to do it. All right. So as always, we end with the dedications. Just quickly, oh, you got a number 4 from someone as well. Hank and Mika said number 4. Okay. May the merits, the energy that we generated for us coming together in this heart space with one another, may these energies go towards those who are feeling a lack of belonging in this moment. May at that moment they feel whatever their journey is, may this energy give them the focus and the creativity to find their way back to a sense of belonging. And may that also spread out into world systems, that we create a world system that is more equitable, that creates a more sense of belonging for each and every one of us, without exclusion. And may every creature on this planet have enough fresh water to drink and food to eat. And may every world government and leader govern from a place of a desire for each and every creature to feel a sense of belonging, as opposed to fear and greed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Michelle. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Take care. See you next week. And thank you, Michelle.
Bye, everyone.